Okay, so we're back with RedpoleQ, still at Butterfinger Pancakes.
Yeah.
Still delicious.
Finally at the pancake part of the delicious.
So, we just talked for a long time about value, or you talked for a long time about value, and ways not to look needy. So, I guess just to sum it up for everybody, the key to not being needy when you're going up and meeting women is don't ask for anything in return. You should be bringing them along to something interesting or amazing that you're going to do anyway.
11 p.m. closed.
Go, Bill.
Yeah.
So I was saying, don't ask for anything in return. Instead, bring them along to something interesting or amazing that you're going to do anyways. And asking for the phone number, on the other hand, is a great way to look neat. So does that pretty much sum it up?
Yeah, I mean it does. And I think one of the ideas is sort of, actually it's very interesting, this is an internet marketing concept that you've experienced if you've been involved with Pickup Asia for any length of time, or with Asian Dating Monthly for any length of time. There's this concept that was pioneered by one of the sort of famous guys in this business called Dave D'Angelo, who you may or may not have heard of. If you've heard of him, great. If you haven't, he's not really, his stuff's pretty basic, so it's not really all that worthwhile to look up, but he's really big because he's an amazing marketer. And one of the concepts he came up with is something he calls moving the free line. And moving the free line basically says, okay, if you give people mass amounts of value for free, and they go, wow, we got all this stuff for free, what do they have, what kind of value do they give us when we pay? And I think this is sort of a similar concept where when you're able to give massive amounts of value to a girl without wanting anything in return, it makes it very clear that two things. One, that you have a lot of value, period, because the fact that you have a lot means you don't need to, hoard it and dole it out very carefully. And the other thing that it makes clear is that you are a person who is willing to share the value that you have, right? So, there are people who can be really stingy with their time or really stingy with their money or whatever it might be. And generally, we don't think of those things as being positive traits. So I'd say that those are two aspects to it.
All right, cool. So your articles on Asian Dating Monthly, basically we're looking at how to win friends.
Sorry, let me say something else. Okay, so there's another book, and actually you and I were discussing this last week. Or no, was that last week? Anyway, a few days ago. And I was talking about the book, how to get everything you can out of all you've got.
Yeah.
And one of the things it talks about is risk reversal. So in any transaction between two people, there is some kind of risk on both ends. So for example, when we approach a girl, we're taking on a lot of risk because, in the interaction, it's not really a lot in the scheme of, leaving your house and going to work, but we're taking a risk. And so when that girl agrees to give us her phone number or something, now she's sort of taking a risk, right? Because she's giving us our phone number with the idea that we're going to call her or something. We could harass her. We could look her number up and go to her house. There's all sorts of different risks that are involved that she's taking when she does that. So one of the concepts about why it's good if we were getting a number with the purpose of her coming to something in the future is that it's not there's less risk there, because even though we could obviously not really be trying to do that, the fact that we're saying this is the reason, it makes it look like we're not trying to do something people have all sorts of imaginations about what could happen, and so there's a specific purpose and a reason for getting that number, and I think that also contributes to why that comes across a lot less needy. Right? It's not, it's not that we want her number. We don't want her number. We don't give a shit about her number. I don't give a shit about her number. What I care about is that next thing, that next step, that moving forward process. That's what I care about. The number is irrelevant to me. So I think that's the other important point.
Okay.
And so the goal isn't, oh, you know, it's so to me, when you in some ways when you ask a girl for a number, it's kind of similar to when a girl asks you for a drink, where, you know, like basically she has to give you something and she gets nothing in return really for giving you her phone number. And it's the same thing when a girl asks you to buy her a drink and you get her a drink, you get nothing in return. So I think those are very similar situations.
So
whereas, you know, if the girl was like, hey, you know, this is one of the, you know, if you know, I mean, this doesn't happen, but if a girl's like, hey, you know what, I'm really thirsty, so why don't we, I'll grab a seat over here, and why don't you go get drinks? Now, if a girl said that, I would be inclined to buy drinks under those circumstances. Obviously, she could still like run off, but you know, the whole frame that she set is that, you know, this buying a drink thing is a setup for us to spend time together. And so in that way, it's sort of like there's this reciprocation happening that makes it more okay.
Okay. So, so in other words, we're not just wanting the number. We need the number if she wants to come skydiving with us.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, good. So
we're going to call her on the way down.
Yeah.
Too bad you couldn't make it.
Hope you feel better soon. Okay, so I think we talked a lot about women and how to look non-needy with women. The articles were talking a lot about winning friends, though, bringing massive value in order to win friends. So how would you go about looking non-needy while bringing value to friends or like potential friends, acquaintances, that sort of thing?
Well, I think it's very similar in that early on, you don't need to look for any reciprocal value from that person. I think most people, they're so busy focused on themselves and their own needs that they are spending their time interacting with a person, trying to figure out what that person can give them, instead of just going, okay, what can I give this other person, and I won't worry about what I get in return for now. And recognize, yeah, there's a lot of people who won't maybe be able to give you anything, but they might be able to give you something down the line.
Yeah.
Right? You know, like as an example, I met a guy at a club. And I used to go to a club, you know, this is a club event I used to go to regularly in Osaka. And so there was a guy I used to talk to, and he was kind of dorky, but I used to talk to him anyway. And then one day he's like, hey man, you should come to my restaurant, like where I work. And so I was like, oh, okay. He's like, yeah, I'll hook you up. And I was like, okay. So I used to like use that as like my date 2 spot. And for like $10, I'd get free desserts and free drinks, and like, you know, it was just like, and he would come out and be like, hey, how are you? He's like the chef guy there. And it was all like really friendly, and it really helped me out. But I wouldn't have known that just off of initially meeting him.
Yeah.
So I think that people tend to be too short-sighted and not go, okay, let me just scatter all these seeds, and I don't know which ones are going to bear fruit, but enough of them will that it'll be worth it, right? So people are so, you know, as I said, people are stingy with their time, they're stingy with their attention, they sometimes stingy with money, and so all of those things make it so that it's more difficult for other people to connect with you, because everybody's playing that same game, so you have to play a different game.
So it sounds like essentially what you're saying is that you should be bringing value to a lot of people in your life, probably most people in your life anyways. And so you're not specifically targeting like one person bring value in the hopes that you're going to get something out of it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, especially early on. You know, I think we could use the example, okay, this is about a girl in particular, but if we use the example of like my, this girl that I'm interested in here, I jokingly call my true love. You know, like I've sent her like postcards from like different countries and stuff. And obviously I've tried to meet her, but I've never made it seem like I'm upset that, you know, if she doesn't meet me or something like that. It's just, oh, here's another opportunity for us to hang out. Here's an opportunity for us to do something. And whether she comes or not, it doesn't really matter to me, you know, as I was saying earlier, the surface rolls on. Yeah. So, I really think it's sort of, you know, it's this, I think you have to, there's a, you know, it's a while back, because I used to be concerned with this too, with being needy. And a guy I know, he said, if you're not needy, it's not needy. Meaning, if you're not needy, then whatever behavior you engage in can't be needy, automatically. Now, it's possible they could be perceived as being needy because, you know, we can't control other people's perceptions, right? Yeah. Just like I was saying about how, you know, we can feel threatened in situations that aren't threatening to us at all. Yeah. But if you're not a needy person, then you don't need to worry about your behavior so much.
Yeah.
Because it's coming from the right place, which is not, oh, I'm trying to take something or I need something from this person. It's, you know, I'd like something from this person. There's a book called Getting to Yes, which I highly recommend. In the book is about negotiation and negotiation tactics. Not really tactics though, it's actually about negotiation philosophy. And one of the concepts that he introduced that I got from there that I thought was so valuable is something called the BATNA. B-A-T-N-A. Do you know this?
I read the book, but I can't remember BATNA.
Best alternative to a negotiated agreement.
Ah, that's right.
And it basically says that in any negotiation situation, you want something from the other person. And the less you need that thing from them, the better negotiating position you're in. So you want to spend a lot of time thinking about your BATNA. You know, what could you do if this negotiation doesn't pan out? And if you can make that BATNA really strong, then the negotiation will go much smoother. And it's the same thing with dating, right? The problem with most guys is because they're not doing enough approaches, because they're not engaging with enough women, each interaction is so important to them. They really need it to work. And that's what brings out that bad behavior that puts a lot of pressure on the girl, negative pressure with the girl. So you have to have that, you know, if I can't get this girl, what's my, you know, alternative? And presumably your alternative is other girls that are just as good. You know, it's, okay, I'm going to meet this girl. If she flakes, no problem, because I've got these other things that I could be doing.
Yeah.
Presumably other things that you think are good, not other things that you think are not good. So if you're replacing that with something else that you really think is, I don't know, you know, like eating a tub of ice cream, then probably that's not a good, you know, BATNA, as it were.
No, definitely not. Depending on what type of ice cream it is, of course.
You know, another example would be, let's say, you know, you like buy a girl a gift of some kind. Not saying you should, but if you do, you know, then get something that, you know, if you never meet her again, you could use it yourself, or you could give it to somebody else, right? I mean, that way you win. It's like, okay, I meet this girl to give this to her, that's okay. I'll just like enjoy this myself, or there's somebody else I can give it to.
Definitely.
So, you know, you need to like think in a certain way. It's sort of funny because what we're kind of saying is that you have to protect yourself, but at the same time we're saying give a lot of value. But it's sort of more, I would say, more like contingency planning, more than self-protection. There was another example that I had for this. Best alternative to negotiate agreement. It's not coming to me. Anyway, so I think that's very important. If you can come up with other things, or if you come up with alternatives to, you know, what's going to happen with that particular girl, with that particular person who you're maybe trying to get an interaction with, then you're fine, because that automatically makes you not needy. It's like when you meet like one girl who's a 10 and you have like one girl this number who's a 10, then that's like a big deal. But when you know, have 5 of them, it's like whatever, I don't care which one of these I get.
Oh great, another one.
One more reason to live in Gangnam.
So it's nearly 11 o'clock now, and I'm pretty sure that the staff's eyeballing us, ready to kick us out. I think they have a pitchfork. I see a torch being lit.
Does that mean the circus needs to roll elsewhere?
I think so. I think the circus has to leave town. So do you have any last thing to say before we wrap this up?
No, I mean, I think that's most everything. Yeah, I think that's most everything.
All right, cool.
We covered a wide swath of information.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for joining us, and look forward to more videos from Asian Daily Monthly.
See ya, guys.